Her voice shattered the quiet morning like glass breaking against concrete. "Hello, 911. Yes, I need police right now. My car's being stolen. He's sitting in it right now." Karen's shrill scream carried across the cul-de-sac, loud, enough for every neighbor peeking through blinds to hear. She wasn't whispering or hiding in fear. No, she was pacing back and forth in her robe, waving one hand wildly while clutching her phone in the other, making sure everyone knew she was the victim. The car she was pointing at? Mine. Parked neatly in my own driveway, doors locked, engine off. I wasn't hot-wiring it. I wasn't breaking into it. I had just finished unloading groceries and was sipping coffee behind the wheel when her meltdown began. The SUV had my registration, my insurance, my name on every official document, but in Karen's mind that didn't matter. She had decided it was hers, and when Karen made up her mind, she'd go to any length to make the world bend to it. I didn't move. I didn't shout back or rush to defend myself. I just sat there, calm and collected, watching her put on a performance fit for a soap opera. Because truthfully, this wasn't new. Karen, president of our HOA, had been on my case since the day I moved in. Too many times she had slipped notices on my door: improper parking angle, unsanctioned vehicle color, lawn too long by half an inch. Every petty rule became a weapon, and every letter she sent carried the same undertone. "You don't belong here." I run this neighborhood, but what made this morning different was the escalation. Fake fines and threats were one thing, but calling the police and screaming theft, that was Karen's boldest move yet. She wanted me humiliated, dragged out in cuffs, displayed in front of the neighbors like a trophy of her power. I glanced at her reflection in the side mirror, still shouting into the phone, still pointing at me as if she'd caught a dangerous criminal. And that's when I let a small smile form, because what Karen didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the man she had just reported wasn't some helpless neighbor she could crush under. HOA rules. I was an undercover cop, and today, Karen's little stunt wasn't just harassment. It was about to become the evidence I'd been waiting for. It didn't take long for the wail of sirens to echo down the street. Karen's voice had that kind of tone that dispatchers took seriously, hysterical, insistent, claiming immediate danger. Within minutes, 2 patrol cars rounded the corner, lights flashing, tires crunching against the asphalt as they pulled up in front of my driveway. Karen was already running toward them before the cruisers even stopped, arms flailing as if she had narrowly escaped disaster. "Officers, that's him!" she screamed, pointing at me through the windshield. "He stole my car. He's sitting in it right now." I stayed where I was, still in the driver's seat, one hand resting casually on the steering wheel, the other holding my coffee. I could see the officers exchange quick glances, their professional training kicking in as they sized up the situation. 2 men in uniform, both of them cautious but not yet aggressive, stepped out and approached slowly. Karen, of course, made sure to plant herself right beside them, jabbing her finger toward me like she'd just caught a fugitive. "He's been causing trouble in this neighborhood for months. I told the HOA board we needed to get rid of him, and now he's stealing my vehicle right from my driveway." One of the officers raised his hand to calm her, but she wasn't interested in calming down. She wanted a scene. She wanted the crowd of neighbors now gathering on their porches to see her orchestrate my downfall. The lead officer leaned down toward my window. "Sir, step out of the vehicle for us." His tone was professional, controlled, but I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. They didn't know yet who was lying, but procedure demanded they treat me as a suspect until things cleared. I nodded and stepped out slowly, setting my coffee cup on the hood. "Morning, officers." Karen jumped in before they could speak. "Don't let him sweet-talk you. He forged paperwork, he's been harassing me and my neighbors, and now he's stealing my car. Arrest him." The officer turned to her. "Ma'am, we'll sort this out. Please give us a moment." But Karen wasn't backing off. She waved a folder in the air. Thin papers I instantly recognized as the same type of fake notices she'd been stuffing in my mailbox for weeks. "Here, proof. He's in violation of community parking laws. This isn't even supposed to be his vehicle. Look at this. It clearly says no unapproved vehicles allowed. He forged HOA approval forms to trick everyone." The other officer took the papers, brows furrowing as he flipped through them. It was nothing but nonsense. half-baked. Rules, some lines copied and pasted from outdated regulations, others clearly altered by hand. But Karen's delivery was flawless, loud, certain. The kind of false confidence that sways people before they even think to question. "Sir," the lead officer said carefully, "do you have registration for this vehicle?" "Of course," I replied, already pulling my wallet from my pocket. My license, my registration, my insurance, everything lined up perfectly. I handed them over, my movements calm, deliberate. The officer studied the documents while his partner checked the VIN through the windshield. Karen hovered like a vulture, eyes gleaming as though she was seconds away from victory. "Don't let him trick you," she snapped. "He doesn't belong here. He's dangerous. I've told you, the HOA wants him gone." I simply folded my arms, watching them unravel, because as convincing as Karen thought she was being, I knew the truth was about to surface. And when it did, her entire little performance would blow up right in her face. The officers took a step back, moving a few feet away from Karen to compare the paperwork. One of them tapped at his radio, quietly running my license and the car's registration through the system. The other studied the documents I'd handed him, brow tightening the more he looked. Karen, meanwhile, wasn't slowing down. She leaned in close to them, lowering her voice just enough that she thought I couldn't hear, but I caught every word. "Listen, he's been a problem for months. He harasses neighbors. He lurks around houses at night. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a record a mile long. If you don't get him out of here, he'll do something worse. Trust me, I know his type." It was almost impressive, the way she spoke with such confidence, layering lies on top of half-truths. To anyone who didn't know better, she sounded credible. She looked like the frantic suburban victim, clutching her robe, wringing her hands, painting herself as the poor woman terrorized by the big bad neighbor. The younger officer shifted uncomfortably, clearly trying to piece it all together. "Ma'am, the registration matches his license. This car is legally his." Karen's face twisted. "No, that paperwork is forged. I told you, he fakes documents. You need to cuff him before he hurts someone." The lead officer glanced at me. I kept my posture relaxed, arms crossed, letting them see I wasn't rattled. I'd been in situations like this more times than I could count, watching suspects spin tales, watching officers weigh their words against evidence. Patience was everything. Inside, though, I was cataloging every move she made, the way she insisted without proof, the way she referenced the HOA as if it gave her authority over the law, the way she was trying to escalate, pushing the officers to act rashly. It wasn't just arrogance, it was a pattern, and patterns are evidence. The radio crackled. "Dispatch confirms. Vehicle registered under his name, insurance current, no active warrants, all clear." The officer's eyes flicked to Karen. That was the first crack in her performance. She stammered, waving her hands. No, that's wrong. You must have checked the wrong file. He doesn't even belong in this neighborhood." Her voice grew shrill, desperate. She wasn't just trying to win anymore. She was trying not to lose. I stayed silent, because I could have ended it right there, flashing my badge, clearing everything up in an instant. But I didn't. I had a bigger reason to let this play out. Karen's voice had gone from smug to frantic in a matter of minutes, and the officers could feel it. Her confidence was slipping. The more they pressed her for concrete proof, the more her answers circled back to the same lines. "The HOA says," or "I know what I saw," or "He doesn't belong here." The lead officer crossed his arms, standing between us now. "Ma'am, we've verified the vehicle. It's legally his. Unless you have actual evidence of a crime, this isn't theft." Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Then she snapped her fingers, pointing toward her house. "Wait, my camera, my security camera. It caught him sneaking around last week. I'll prove it. He's been casing my property." She darted off toward her porch, robe flapping, slippers smacking against the pavement. Neighbors chuckled quietly from their porches, but she didn't notice. She was too desperate to win. The younger officer muttered under his breath, "What's her deal?" I finally spoke, keeping my voice calm and even. "This isn't about a car. This is about control. She's been weaponizing HOA rules against me since the day I moved in. Today she took it too far." The lead officer gave me a look, half curious, half cautious. You seem awfully calm for someone accused of stealing a car. I smiled. That's because I've dealt with worse accusations, and because I know how this is going to end. Karen returned with a tablet in hand, fumbling to open a video. Here, look. She shoved it toward the officers. Grainy footage of me unloading groceries from my car played across the screen. Me carrying bags inside. Me pausing at her fence line to pick up trash that had blown into my yard. She jabbed at the screen. See, he's lurking. He's pretending to live here so he can watch me. The officer rubbed his forehead. Ma'am, this is literally him unloading his groceries. Karen's face flushed red. Her plan was collapsing in real time. She turned on me, finger shaking. You think you're so clever, don't you? Well, let's see how clever you are when I take this to the HOA board. You won't last another month here. That's when I finally decided the show had gone on long enough. I reached into my jacket, slowly, carefully. Both officers tensed until they saw the leather badge wallet unfold in my hand. Detective James Callahan, I said clearly, letting the shield gleam in the sunlight. Undercover division. And ma'am, you've just lied to uniformed officers, falsified claims of theft, and attempted to misuse emergency services. That's obstruction at minimum, not to mention harassment. The silence that followed was heavy. The neighbors shifted, whispering to each other. The younger officer's eyes widened. Karen's jaw practically hit the ground. You're a cop? She stammered. I took a step closer, my tone firm, but controlled. Yes, and every word you've just said has been recorded on body cam, including your false accusations. Karen staggered back a step, her confidence shattering. She looked at the officers as if begging them to deny it, but they were stone-faced now, no longer entertaining her tantrum. This is a misunderstanding, she sputtered. I thought he was dangerous. I was just protecting the neighborhood. I cut her off. No, you were abusing your position. You wanted control, and you thought calling the cops would give it to you. But instead, you've just proven exactly what I've been documenting for weeks. The officers exchanged a glance. They weren't laughing, but the shift in their posture told me everything. Karen wasn't the victim anymore, and she knew it. Karen's face drained of color. For the first time all morning, she was speechless. The tablet in her hands trembled, the video still looping in the background, mocking her false narrative. The younger officer cleared his throat. Ma'am, you need to understand something. Filing false police reports is a serious offense. Wasting emergency resources, making fabricated claims, it's not just a misunderstanding, it's a crime. Karen's eyes darted around the street. Neighbors stood frozen at their fences, some with phones in hand, recording everything. Her carefully constructed reputation as the self-appointed guardian of the neighborhood was collapsing in real time. I didn't mean, she stammered. I just thought, he doesn't belong. The lead officer's voice cut sharp. Enough. You don't get to decide who belongs, the law does. And the law says this vehicle is his documents are valid, and you've crossed a line. I folded my badge wallet and slipped it back into my jacket, my voice calm but firm. For weeks you've harassed me, weaponized HOA bylaws, and spread lies. Today, you tried to take it further by screaming theft and dragging these officers into your personal vendetta. That ends now. Karen's shoulders slumped, her bravado completely gone. The tablet slipped from her grip and clattered onto the pavement. The officer nodded at me. Detective, we'll be filing a full incident report. She'll be hearing from the DA's office about misuse of emergency services. Karen gasped. You can't. Please, I didn't. But her words were empty now. No one was listening, so the officers escorted her back toward her house. The crowd began to disperse, murmurs rippling through the air. The truth was out, and the mask she had worn for so long had been torn away in front of everyone. I picked up my coffee from the hood of my car, took a slow sip, and let the moment sink in. Because in this neighborhood, justice had finally spoken. Louder than Karen's lies. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel, HOA Karen Stories.